Alright guys, here we go. We are about to play The Legend of Zelda. I've never played this game before. We're going to try it out and see what this story's about, you know? How about chat? Right here. Right there. Got everybody from Discord. Alright, here we go guys. Should have everybody from there we go. And everybody from here. Here we go. Nintendo presents The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah. I've never played this game before. If you can believe that, I have never played this game before. A little crazy, right? I wonder what this game is. I've never played it. Well, I did play like Ocarina of Time and Minora's Mask, but that was such a long time ago. Open your eyes. I will open my eyes and see what I see. Let's see. What?
Open your eyes.
Okay, I can hear somebody. Who is that?
Open your eyes.
Whoa, what is this?
Wake up, Link.
Where are his nipples? No nipples for Link! Where am I going? Ooh. Ah. There we go. Hey, I can see everybody. Alright. Hey, I can see everybody. Oh, crap. Making sure I got everybody here. Here we go, my friends! Oh. Whoa. This looks hella weird. What is this place? There's something happening here. Hey girl, what's that sound? Okay, to move, camera, control. Okay. DLC. What do I have in the DLC? Oh yeah, I forgot about all the DLC thing. That way I can, play. Alright, let's go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Examine. Ooh. Ah. Ooh.
That
it's a book.
Is a Sheikah slate.
A Sheikah slate.
Take it.
Sheikah
It will help
slate.
guide you after your long slumber.
God said, "Let there be light." Give me a second. So that way you guys can see. Ah! Well, that's good. So I took it. What happens then? Have any of you guys ever played this game? Ooh. 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 Inventory. Okay. So what happens after you take it out? Alright, let's go. All this stuff. I can throw it! Oh crap. Oh, cool. Dang, dude, I need a shirt. Equip, dude. Come on here. Yeah, we definitely need some trousers. Throw! How do you throw it? Alright, well there's nothing here. Let's go. Yeah. I guess I'm supposed to use a slate here? Examine.
Hold the Sheikah slate.
If you guys could help me play this game, that'd be really appreciated.
That will show you the way.
Ooh. Okay. Thank you, Daniel Smith. Thank you, Eddie Avocado. Thank you guys for joining the chat. Ski, ski, ski. First time, yep. First time, bro. Never played this game. I would love help. If you guys can help me, that'd be greatly appreciated. Oh, damn. Oh. Oh. Oh, oh, the light.
You are the light.
Tell me that.
Our light. That
Why am
must
I?
shine upon Hyrule
Why am
once
I?
again.
Why am I attracted to the light?
Now go.
Yeah, I put my wiener in it. Alright, let's go. Oh, dang, finally I can sprint. How do I jump? So I can climb. Climb with X. There you go. Okay, here we go. I'm out here. Wow. Thank you, Daniel Smith. Wow. You guys, it's so beautiful. Whoa. Hi. My mind is coming so hard right now. Like, it's like all over my face. I don't know if you can see that visibly. It's there. It is there. Hey, Santa! Santa, where are you going? Ooh, what's that? I have a tree branch! Yeah! Cool! Alright. Ooh, what's this? Take. Where am I supposed to go now? Ooh, what happens if I use this boulder? Let's use it. I'm gonna use it. What happens if I do this? I don't know what that does. You guys could help me, you know. Whoa. Take. Oh well. Who are you? Me? I'll spare you my life. The old fool who lived here alone for quite some time. Where are we? The Great Plateau, according to the legend. Okay. Whoa. Look at all this land, guys. It looks so pretty. Whoa. 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 Well, yeah. That's it? That's all I get? Easy there. Ooh, what's this? Yes, I will take this. Cool. Oh, okay. I can hold. Okay. It's a secret. Oh, that's how you swing it? Let's go. First off, I need that axe. Dang, I got a woodcutter's axe. Fuck yeah. First, let me start this fire. Baked apple! Alright! Keep going. Anybody know how to start this fire? Well, I'm not gonna eat yet. There we go. Now I'm gonna start this fire, I'm guessing. Why am I throwing stuff? How do you hit? Anybody know how to hit? How do you hit? Ay, ay. Okay, to attack, it's Y. Alright, at least I know now. There we go. I'm guessing I use this to start this fire? Ooh!
Link.
What's happening? Link! Where am I
Head
going?
for the point marked on the map in your Sheikah slate.
Okay. Sheikah slate. Let me go to the Sheikah slate. Give me a second. Give me the second. Give me a second. Okay. So I'm supposed to select here. Open the adventure log. Follow the Sheikah Plateau. Okay. Cool! So I'm supposed to go to the Sheikah Plateau. Oh, that's how you open it. What the fuck is that? Just saw something over there. What is that? Ah! Ah! Get away! Make sure your ass is dead! Oh, I got a horn! I don't need a tree branch, I guess I'll take it for inventory. This axe is pretty, you know, pretty good. Sheikah Plateau. So why am I going to the Sheikah Plateau? Slimes! Chanchu jelly. Chanchu jelly, eh? Oh, wait. Sam! Keep going. I don't want to have a horse or something, you know? Apparently I'm supposed to go here. Oh, what happens if I push that rock in there? Does anything really happen? I'm gonna push this rock. I don't know what's gonna do, guys. So, you know, it's so bad, you know? Thank you, Ralph, for joining. Oh, damn. That was it? Oh, I get the meat. Legit. And I get a club. And I get some steak. Alright, let's keep going. Hey, these fuckers try to get at me. You're not gonna get at me, fuckers! You fuckers! Apparently I'm supposed to go up here. Well, I don't know why it's telling me to go up here. Let's see! Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Okay. supposed to happen? What am I supposed to do? I'm here. Oh, down at the bottom. I see it. And I gotta put that cheeky slate. Shall I? Put it on. Put it on. So what's next? Go. Here we go. All right. Okay. Sure everything's working here. The live info's good. Was it on Legend of Zelda? Is that way? Okay, there we go. I was wondering why it wasn't working, or people weren't coming. Whoa. Whoa. What's going on? God, look at those little tiny fucks. Whoa! Mine is fucking blown! Is the land getting a boner, or is it just me? It's like, oh god. Oh god. Link is here. Oh, he's so hot. Link. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to touch these tips for me. Just saying. Just saying. What up, Tormento 911? Thank you for joining. All right. Ooh. What just happened? And it just shows me the layout of the land? Okay. That's kind of cool. Where am I going now? Remember who you are. Thank you, who else joined me? Got 3 people watching. Thank you, whoever those 3 people are. I love you!
Sleep for the past 100 years.
Damn. Rabbit hole, thank you for joining.
When the beast regains its true power, this world will face its end.
God damn, what the hell is that?
Now then, you must hurry, Link.
So, what do I do now?
Before it's too late.
Anybody know? I would love help. What up, Danny? Thank you for joining. Follow the Shiki slate. I guess I gotta... So how do I... Find out? Okay. Oh no, wait. Jesus Christ. Wait, dude!
Oh!
What happened? Hey, it's Santa! What up, Jefferson? Thank you for joining. Who's watching that? Oh, so there's one person watching on Twitch. So that's cool. Alright. I heard a voice. Well now. Why does he seem sus? No. So for a century, very symbol of the kingdom. Okay, managed to contain that evil, but barely just happened. But okay. But it will unleash its light once again. Cool?
Oh.
Must ask you, courageous one. I do. Hand it over. So I have to get what? What are you going to show me, dude? Hurry up and show me if you're going to show me. Show me! Taking forever, dude. Show me, you bastard. You bastard! Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going the exact moment these tiles rose. So what am I supposed to do? Okay. Okay, I can do that. Now. Yes. Is there any way around? I could probably just go around real quick. Let's do around. Keep going. Go. And now it's falling nighttime. I'm just trying to get, over here. Let's go! Come on! You are taking forever. All these large-ass puddles are like super sus. It feels like it anyways. Guess that was it. The Onamu Shrine. Oh, wait, what's this? Maybe there's some freaking... What do I get? Ooh, rubies! What happens if I push this over here? I don't even know how to... let's just get out of here. Alright, so this is how I access the shrine. Alright, let's open this bitch. Let's go! Where's it taking me? No! Father. Okay, where am I going now? Where am I going? Where am I going? I don't know. How do we get there? Come on, let's go! Me and you and Zabooba-Boo. The Magnus Trial. The Magnus Trial. What does that mean? The Magnus Trial. What am I supposed to do? There's these little tiny things. Maybe it has something to do with this. No, it has nothing to do with that. Alright, let's just go, I guess. Let's do that. Let's go! Whoa. Ugh, it's peeing on it! Ugh! What the fuck? It just like, literally somebody just jacked it up. He's like, ugh! And then he came. Okay. That's pretty cool. So I can use this magnet anytime I want. What can I do? What can I do? What's in here? Okay. Alright. Where are we going now? I wonder if I can push forward. Okay, I can! Legit! What else can I do? Oh, damn it! Okay, let me go. Ah! There you go. That was pretty easy. Okay. Damn it. Go right here. Forward. There we go. I mean, I would get that thing, but... Oh, I can get that thing. Okay. What does it do? What do I get? What do I get? Ooh, I got a bow! Cool! Oh, damn. That was it? That was pretty easy. That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad, guys. Who's that watching? Yo, I was watching you last night. Thank you, man. Foot Lover VR. How were you watching me last night? You mean yesterday? Is that what you mean, man? You have proven to possess the resolve of a true hero. Now your godhood may be restored. Thank you for the likes. Keep sending them, guys. Okay, so I am a humble monk, blessed with the sight of the goddess Helia, dedicated to helping those who seek to defeat my... Okay. When you arrive, my duty is to be fulfilled. Okay. The name of the goddess Helia allows me to bestow this gift upon you. What? Please accept this spirit orb. Hey. Damn, he just get you an orb, dude. You should... What up, Baker? How are you, man? I got a spirit orb. Cool. I don't know what that means, but that's cool. May the goddess smile upon you. Alright, let's get out of here. Is that it? What up, Baker? Keep sending me those likes, guys. Get more people coming. Come on. To wear and tear of your weapons. Try swinging the metallic objects into foes. That's pretty good.
Oh!
Damn, he came all the way this way? Cool! Thank you, guys. Thank you for the likes. 645 likes. Perry got it, please. Thank you. Time again. Okay. That wasn't a deal. I guess let me try to get... The blue icons recognize the caves. So I've already gone to that one. But dude. He has pointed out you can use your Shaliki signs if you need to travel. Where's the next Shaliki shrine? How am I supposed to find all of these fuckers? Like, seriously. Oh crap! Oh crap! What the hell did I just do? What the hell did I just do? I did not mean to go through here. Didn't even know that. Oh my god, did y'all see how I almost fell off? Looks like there's one up there. I see one up there. How am I supposed to get like all the way up there in time? You know? Let's go. Come on, hurry up. I gotta get this over and done with. This is so hard. I know for a fact there's one over here. Got some arrows, good. I need those. Ooh! What else do I have? Another torch, yes! More torches! Good. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go! I know there's a way to get up there, I just gotta get way to the high top. Is that a piggy? Come on. I literally remember seeing one up here. Somewhere up here. Let's see. Come on, I know there's one up here, dude. I just saw it. Can you guys help me out here? Wait, this is where I came from. Jesus Christ. My god. I can't believe I came all the way up here for nothing! Where's my map at? Shrine of Resurrection. Where's that at? Where am I going? Where am I going? What did I just do right now? What did I do? That big Twinkie, thank you for joining. That is not where I wanted to come from. It's time for me to go back to the tower. A power. There he is. I was wondering where I was supposed to go. Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
All right, let's see. He said there's 3 other ones. So the only ones I see... Let's see. It's a big-ass place, dude. There's that one I just did, I think. I just did that one right down there. Should be another one somewhere. Come on, there has to be one somewhere around here. Supposed to go! Oh crap, no, wait. Okay. You mean that one right there? There has to be some more shrines somewhere. Wait, that one? That one right there? That is one. One right there. For another one. Gotta be another one somewhere. One that's close by, and that's not off the cliff. That one? Let me see. Gotta be one down here somewhere. Maybe below me. I think that's one. There's one right here. There's not one right there. There has to be another one somewhere right here. So I did find one. There should be another one with a burning light somewhere. That one's all the way at the top. It's not that one. Is that the only one? Let's see. Where is it? There has to be another one somewhere! Look at the mountains. Oh, wait, right over there. You see? Right there, right? You're right. 2. The one up there. Okay. Let me pin it. Let me pin it. Let me pin it. Okay. So it's just those 3, right? I can only see those. Which one's the closest? Is that one over there? Let's get out of here. We can use fast travel real quick so we can go to that one, and then I guess we'll just take the route over there, you know? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bones, by the way. Thank you, Mr. Bones. He's helping me. All right. Oh, crap. Ah, damn it! It's Y. It's Y. Sorry. Forgot it was Y. Right now. The closest one is this one over here. In my opinion. The red one. I think the red one's the closest. Also need to change my weapon, dude. I can't just do this. Woodcutter's axe. Let's go. I think the woodcutter's axe seems like the best one. Ah, God damn it. Thank you. Where's that stick? I want this stick! The Boko spear. That's what I want. Where's the Boko spear? How do I get it? Oh, I have to remove some. Let's remove some branches. How do you remove? Damn it, how do you remove? How do you remove? How do you remove? I can't go to, oh, go to inventory. You might be right. God damn it! Alright, let's go to inventory. How do you go to the inventory? How do you go to the inventory? Oh, I can throw. Oh. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Gotta be this way. Keep going, keep going. Forgot how do you eat. How do you eat? Anybody remember how to eat? Anyone? Oh. How do you eat? How do you eat? Bow, focus, change weapon. There we go. Where's L? Where's L? That's not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. Go to menu again. What the hell, dude? This stupid apple. Or the steak. Thank you. Ah! Get away. Yeah, here we go. What the hell is that over there? I don't even want to know. Let's go. Thank you for the... What was that, a rose? I don't even know what that was, but thank you. Ziozami. Banana way. There it is. Banana way, banana way. Banana way, banana. Thank you, Asura Sinatra. Thank you. Damn it. I hate those monsters. Get away! Get away! I figured. Ah! Where is it? Is this one right here? There you go. Well, there's a freaking shrine. God damn it, no! Did that really just happen? What? Damn it. Oh, well, at least is there, so you can infinitely run while whistling. Use almost... Seriously, you can infinitely run while whistling? How do you whistle? Yes, I know. No. Go. There you go. Whew. Yeah, well, at least I did it. It does take practice. Well, I'll try. Get away. Damn it. At least I have a shield now. Thank you, Carlita Paria, for joining. Go do this one. This is one down. Let's see if we can get all three in 20 minutes. I doubt it. There's no way. There's too much walking. Peaches! Peaches. Those who set foot in the shrine of Jah Abihim will be named the goddess I offer this trial. The bomb trial. I do not need to see the freaking coming again. Come on, man. I don't need to see it coming again. Ah, it's doing it. It's the tip, and then it... Okay, so I have bomb now, remote bombs, and then detonation bombs. Cool. And I can switch them from the up thing. Okay. Okay. Shall we? Oh, I know what to do. Remote bomb. And then detonate. And just like that? Cool. Okay. It's pretty easy, you know? Okay. Let's go. Or I can throw it. No! Damn it! I can throw it, or I can throw it. Damn it. Oh, at least I got some of it. Yeah, okay. Okay. Damn. So I'm guessing I'm supposed to like put the bomb right here. Oh damn. Okay, okay. I know what to do. Okay. Give me a second. Give me a second. I can do this. I have to keep doing it. No way. Damn it! I did it too early. Hey, what was that? I could do that too. Shit, what's wrong with me? Damn it. Damn it, come here. Get over here. Ay, ay, ay. Like in all seriousness, what the hell? Give me a second. Scott! Ah! Okay, I just need to be patient, okay? Drop it. And again. Can I throw it or something? And of course everything goes to hell. Ah, Jesus Christ. Okay, drop it. There we go. Now what am I supposed to do now? I get a lot of shit. There we go. Let's just go get this freaking thing real quick and then we'll come back and do the complex mazes and stuff like that. There we go. There we go. That was annoying though, guys. You have to admit, that was pretty annoying. Spirit orb, thank you. All right, I know it smells good upon me. Joys of the night. Come on. Hoping to do this within the next. I did it within 5 minutes. Try to get to the next one within 5 minutes. Whoa. Hey. Okay, where am I going now? Gotta go this way. God damn it. Go, 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 go. Oof. I'm not gonna get all the way up there. Ay, ay. How am I gonna do it? What the fuck is that? Oh. That. Come on. Gonna take a long time. Like that. Oh, you were right. Look at that. Look at that. He was right. No stamina whatsoever. You were right. Look at that. Freaking running. Go, 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 go. Go! 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 Keep going up, keep going up. If there is any warmth. Ah, damn it. How do I get up? Oh, okay, hold up. How do I get warmth? Go, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. There has to be something up here. Damn it! Ah, shit! Almost had it! Fuck! So what am I supposed to do? Thank you for the follow, Mr. Bones. I probably need, I know what I do. I know what I need. I know what I need. Go, go, go. God damn it! Go, 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 go! Go, hurry! Here they are. Damn it! Ah! But at least I know that's where I need to go. I'll get that fire up. If I can get that fire up and running, I should be okay. Man, it's hard, dude. Okay, got 10 minutes. Oh, how you do? Go, 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 go. Forgot I have a shield! Fuck. How do I warm up? Anybody know how to warm up? Anybody know how I get warm? Anybody? Asura, Sinatra, where are you? I don't know how to get warm. Did I just kill myself? Ah! It's annoying, dude. Go, 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 go. I'm warm. So that's how I do it? That's how I stay warm? But how do I don't get it. I think this is the only way. Right here. I just figured it out. Just burn something. Look at that. Wasn't it right over here somewhere? The freaking thing? Thought it was. Wasn't it? Thought it was over here. Shit. Damn it. Go, 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 hurry! Before I die! And then I died. Regardless, I died. Regardless. Ah! I remember my mark being right there. Where is it? Aye. So, apparently I'm supposed to go up here, right? Thank you, Gio. Man, but still, like, this is hard to freaking flying. It's over here somewhere. Only way I can think of. How do I chop wood? Gotta be somewhere. Not there. Where is it? Why did I put it over here then? It's gotta be somewhere at the bottom over here then. Why did I oh, there it is. There it is. Didn't even see that till now. You think I'll be able to make it? There we go. There we go! Jesus Christ, man. For what? Let's go. I have 2 more shrines, right? After this, I think. Not sure. All right, let's go. What the hell is this? All right, let's get that freaking. Let's get that drip drip. That cum drip. Oh man, I was hoping to finish this within 10 minutes. So far, this game is addicting. Alex Maestro, thank you for joining, man. But I noticed that more people watched when I played South Park. Isn't that weird? More people are watching when I played South Park. Stasis, stop the flow of time. Okay. I mean, that's cool and all, but I mean, whatever. Oh. Give me a second. Give it a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. There you go. Damn. Let's see. So if I can just stop it right here, I think I should be able to do it. Wait for it. Watch. Ah! Go, 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 go! Ooh, ooh! New weapon! New weapon! Yes! Oh, yeah. So can I hit that with this? Nothing. How do I get that? Ah! What the hell? Maybe. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I'm literally about to die. There we go! Let's get out of here. One more spirit orb. Yes! May the God smile. What up, Maria Tedder? Thank you for following. Or thank you for, coming to the stream. Okay. This is a cool game. I'm really enjoying it. Once we'll get the glider, guys, we'll end it. Thank you for the follow, user 666068. I don't think that's all of them yet, right? So I got one more. Where's the next one at? Have to pass the river or dead. Okay, it's just that one then. Alright, which one's closest? Is there any plateau that's super close to it? There's a resurrection plateau. There's nothing else, right? Fuck, I have to go around. Damn it, I'm in the cold now. Fuck! Hurry up. It's fucking cold. How do I get down? God damn it. Go, 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 hurry! Hurry, man! Hurry! Dang. Alright, now What's in here? Maybe there's some clothes in here I could use. Just arrows? God damn it! Guess we'll just use this. Right now. God damn it, no, wait! I need that. Alright, let's go. Hopefully this lasts, dude. Because if it doesn't last, I'm fucked. Go all the way around over here. Jesus Christ, dude. Ugh. Come on. Let's go. Thank you, Jaden Reyes, for the follow. Thank you, Chew Boom W, for the follow. Hey, there's a boat. What does this boat do? Tell me this boat takes me over there. I would love for this boat to take me over there, you know? Ooh, nope. Not falling for that again. Damn. Oh, damn! I died like that? Holy crap-a-moly. What am I supposed to do then? Oh, I'm probably supposed to use that wood to build... okay. I think I know what to do. Give me a second. Where's my fire at? No. And I died again. Why did I do that? How am I supposed to continue with the fire? I have to go get fire now. Where the fuck do I get fire? I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm fucked. How am I supposed to get over there? There's gotta be another way. Hold up. There has to be another way. There has to be another way. Is there another way to get over there besides going through Well, I could go this way and go back this way. No, that's too far. How do I do it? First of all, the only way I could think of maybe this way, going up the top. I still have to get over there though. How am I gonna do it? Ah, this is annoying. How am I gonna get over there? Well, it looks like there's some sort of bridge that way, but even then, like, how the fuck? It's annoying, you know? Do you remember playing this game? Because I need to find a way to get up there with the fire. Some sort of way to get up there. I bet you there's no other way. And how would I get up there without dying? If there's no other way. I wonder if there's a way I can get that. Nothing. So how am I supposed to do that? Make this old man his favorite meal, give you the warmest double cold. Find the woodsman hut. He'll give you a coat. The woodsman hut? Where the hell is the woodsman hut? Oh yeah, I gotta use arrows. Hmm. The rope? Oh, the ropes are holding it. How do I get those freaking ropes now? Really, I can cook cold peppers? How do I cook them? How do you cook the cold peppers? You're going to fail this, bro. You gotta have an enter it and put them in your hand. Oh, okay. Hold. Okay. And then what? Hold. Cook. Oh, okay. Okay. And I could use these. Where are they? Is there any way I can... Is there any way I can, Oh, damn, it game over. Oh, shit. At least I know I can do that with the peppers. I didn't know you could do that with peppers. Continue. Make sure to do that with all of them then. And I'll go back. And go all the way around. It's gonna be annoying, but, I mean, it'll get me there. All the way back and fucking do the peppers over again. What the fuck? Screw you, goblins! Try this again. Oh, I need a little bit. I need to leave. shit, I gotta go. Alright guys, I'm ending it here. See you next time. You know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna be right back, okay? It might take a minute. Give me a second. Well, no, I gotta end the stream. I'll end it. I'll be right